Good morning, everybody. Let's get you started on this Pizzazz worksheet. First off, like every paper, get those easiest 3 points, right? The most important thing you do is put your name and write it in such a way that your teacher can read it. Next thing you want to do is you want to put your teacher's name and the period that you're talking about. And I always say it helps to put the date on every assignment. Okay, so today is May 11th. That's where you're going to put. And when we do these Pizzazz worksheets, a big part, and this is a proof, today's lesson, a big part of what we're trying to do is learn the language of math, right? You want to learn how to speak Mathish, right? You want to be bilingual, speak English and Mathish. And it's very important to be able to translate the English to Mathish. That's where people have the toughest time in math. They figure out how to do algorithms and stuff, how to do the math part, but they don't know what to do when they get a word problem. Say, well, what do I do? Tell me what to do and I'll do it, right? And kids know how to do the math, but translating is the biggest thing. So this is a big thing. And one of the things that helps you with translating English to Mathish is whenever we have one of these Pizzazz worksheets, you go down to where it says topic, okay? Circle what it says. So this says finding the percent of one number is another, okay? So we're finding percents here. When you do this, write big letters in your composition book, on your paper, something that of in math almost always means multiply. Is means equal, right? And the tricky part is when you see out of, it usually means a fraction. So 3 out of 4 is 3/4. Okay? So if you know those things, it will help you solve all of these questions. Okay, and I will go ahead and zoom in a little bit so you can see what we're talking about. That first question says, what percent is 5 out of 12? So I wrote that over here. What percent is 5 out of 12? And percent, we don't know what that is, right? That's an unknown, so I'm going to put P for a variable. Helps me to, instead of using X, I use P because it sort of stands for percent. I put the is down as the equal sign, and 5 out of 12, and that's going to be a fraction, 5/12. So we're trying to figure out what percent is 5/12. Okay. If you remember how to change a fraction to a decimal to a percent with those portions webs, you're dividing the bottom into the top. So you're going 12 into 5, and you say, but it won't fit. Of course it won't fit. It's a normal fraction. The only time it'll fit is if it's an improper fraction. So what do? Well, we add a decimal. That was our goal anyway, to find out what this thing is as a decimal. So you add a decimal, bring it up, and then add a 0. 12 will go into 50 4 times. 4 dozen is 48. Now I subtract, and now I bring down the next number. And 12 goes into 20 only one time. 1 times 12 is 12. And I happen to know that, whenever you have a factor of 3 out here or a multiple of 3, it's going to be hard to get this to fit perfectly. All right. So I'm going to go 6 times 12 is 72. And I start wondering, well, how far am I going to have to go here? Okay. And I go back to my directions, and it says that you want to round each answer to the nearest whole percent. Okay. The nearest whole percent, when we're talking decimal, is the hundredths place. So that second spot past the decimal is what I'm rounding it to. Now, I can't stop when I get to that second spot because I don't know what that rounds to until I find that third spot, the thousandths place. Okay. Now that that's a 6, I know that the number I underlined is going to go up by 1. Remember, if it's 5 or bigger, it goes up by 1. Okay. So this rounds to about 42 hundredths, which is 42%. Okay, so that's how we're going to do these. When you end up dividing, make sure you go not just to the hundredths place, but one spot past it so you can find out if that hundredths place is going to stay the same or go up by 1. That's only 2 choices. Either it stays the same or goes up. But once I get that hundredths place, I know it's either one of the 2 choices. And then I change it to percent. So this is 42%. It says when you finish, okay, find each correct answer and cross out the letter next to it. So there's my 42% over here, and I'm going to cross out. And I'm just going to put a little 1 next to that, 42, so I know where that came from. All right, leave myself a trail. All right, next question says, what percent is 6 out of 7? So again, I'm saying percent is 6 out of 7. And now I'm going to divide 7 into 6. But it won't fit. It'll never fit. That's why I'm adding a decimal and then add a 0. Now, 7 times 8 is 56. So I'm going to say 8 times there. What do I do now? Well, I'm going to add another 0 and bring it down. 7 goes into 35 5 times. What do I do now? I subtract, add another 0, and 7 goes into 49 7 times. Now, I'm not going to keep dividing there. I'm just going to say I got my hundreds place. I got one place past it. Since that's a 7, what happens to the 5? It goes up by 1. And 0.86 ends up being 86%. Let's go find out on our paper. There it is. I'm going to cross out the A, and I'm going to put a little 2 there so I know where that came from. Okay, let's go to number 3. 19 is 19 is what percent of multiply 30, right? So percent times 30 equals 19. Okay, now I like to have my variable over here. I'm going to use a times sign with a big dot instead. Percent times 30 equals 19. How do I find out what the percent is? Well, I need to get rid of a times 30. How do you get rid of a times 30? Do the opposite. Divide it by 30. If I divide that side by 30, I better do the same thing to the other side. Okay, now these cancel out. All that's left on this side is that P, which is the percent, and all that's on this side is 19 divided by 30. The first number goes in the box. Okay, it won't fit. Bring it up. 30 times 6 is 180, right? Because 3 times 6 is 18. Add another 0. 30 goes into 100 3 times, because that's going to be 90. And it looks like that's going to go on forever, right? So since that number over there is just a 3, that first 3 stays the same. This is about 0.63, which is 63%. Let's go find it. There it is. I'm going to cross out the S and put a little 3 there so I know where it came from. Okay, so that's how you're going to solve these. Okay, make sure you remember that of means multiply, is means equal, right? And out of means a fraction. And do your best to take these step at a time. And don't forget, email your teachers with questions or come see us during our office hours. Okay, love to help you with these.